listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing, but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Brit, and I'm here today with Jacqueline Fisch, copywriter and founder of JacquelineFisch.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jacqueline.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. Hello.
Yeah, all right. So Jacq and I first met in a Facebook group, of course, and she is a wordsmith, she's a copywriter, and that whole industry just fascinates me to no end. So I'm very pumped to get to chat with her today, get some insight into her business, her industry, her marketing strategy, and what makes it all tick. So Jacq, you ready to jump in?
I'm so ready.
Okay, let's do this. So first of all, tell us, how do you earn your living?
I ghostwrite, edit for startups, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, a little bit of a variety of audiences. I've been doing it full time only since April of this year, so less than a year.
Okay.
So I had to quit my corporate job back in April. I've been in the corporate world for more than 13 years.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. So, go ahead. Okay. I want the whole story. I did not realize that. And I've known you for a while. So tell me the story of how you came to do this.
So how it started.
Yeah.
So 13 years in the corporate world, mostly management consulting, large government projects, project management, change management, corporate communications, crisis communications, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And through that time, I mean, I'd always been good at the corporate world. That's what you're supposed to do. You graduate college, you get a job, and you climb the ladder. And I was really good at it. And I've actually been laid off from corporate jobs 3 times. And after the second layoff, I was like, job security is not a thing. And people are like, just get a job. It's how you stay safe. I was like, no, it's not, because I've been laid off 3 times. Like, that was the second time. And at that time, my oldest son, I have 2 kids. They're 9 and 6.
Okay.
My oldest was maybe 1 or 2 years old, something like that. And also at that time, when you go back to work after having a kid, you're like, this is just not right. Like, this is not feeling good anymore. And you sit in these meetings and dress pants and button downs. And I'm like, what am I doing here? So I always knew that I wanted to do something else, but I wasn't sure what it was. It took me a good 8 years to figure it out. And growing my business on the side, only starting about a year ago in this specific writing business. So in the corporate world, I did lots of stuff like writing big proposals, like for $12 million worth of work, and writing big reports and things like that for other big companies. And I always had fun doing that kind of work. So I would dive in and take typically jargon-filled corporate speak, and I was like, ew, I don't even want to read this.
Yeah.
Whoever's on the other end of this report or proposal is not going to want to read it, and it's like 100 pages long. So let's try to make it sound like a human wrote it. So I had a lot of fun doing that back in those days in the corporate world. And people would come to me, my coworkers and senior leaders would always be like, hey, can you help me fix this proposal? Write this tricky email. How do I start this conversation? So those seeds were planted years ago. That I was like, oh, like I can do this like writing thing. This is fun. So as much as I could, I joined projects where I could do work on on writing projects and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a formal communications role when I worked for BlackBerry, back when BlackBerry was popular.
Cool.
So yes, that was one of the jobs I was laid off from, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
With hundreds of thousands of other people.
Yeah.
But there I did crisis communications. So if BlackBerry service went down, the Verizons of the world and AT&Ts needed to know what happened. So I'd have to talk to the technical guys, find out, okay, what happened, give it to me in English, and then turn it into like something that people could understand.
Yeah.
And make it English. So my clients now, I bridge the gap between, there's two types of people, like the technical people that are like IT world, dry writing, jargon, no personality.
Mm-hmm.
I give them personality and make it fun. But then I also have a creative side. Until I started embracing that, I now can give creative people words too. So a lot of creatives like makers, jewelry makers, illustrators, graphic design type people, they're like, I don't have time to write. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm like, okay, well, let's figure it out. And usually they have a light bulb moment. Like, oh, I do have stuff to say. This is great. So
nice.
I think I bridged the left brain and the right brain.
Ooh, that's a good, that's
fun.
A good little, nice connection. So what have the last, how many months has it been since you went full time? What has that been like?
It's been 7 months.
Okay.
It has been amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I don't even remember what it's like to sit in an office in a cubicle anymore. Right? Yes.
Yeah. So is that something that you've found too? It's like you made this big change and then within just like a month you think back and you're like, wait, that was my life? Like that was me? It's almost like you can kind of picture it, but you're looking at it from totally the outside and you're like,
yes,
I did that? That doesn't even feel like it happened. Is that you too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's more of the feeling I had when I was there. So when I was like in the corporate world, having young kids, ushering them off to like daycare or school, I feel like all I remember is rushing around everywhere, not doing a good job on anything. I was just in so many places trying to keep all these balls in the air, and it was like, this is just not working. And when the balls started to fall, I was like, this is not happening. But since leaving, I've learned a ton. I think day 3 of working from home, I realized I need to get out of the house a little bit more. So I was used to like being in an office all the time. I definitely do my best work in a quiet place, heads down, no one bothering me.
Right.
But also realizing the creative energy that it takes to do like ghostwriting and editing for people and getting in their head and taking their words. Yeah. So I work much less hours than I used to, but it's so much better. And I had to grow my business on the side before I could leave my corporate job because kids, mortgages, stuff like that. It wasn't really an option. So a little over a year ago, I realized it was this writing thing that I was like, this is fun. I'm going to like see what I can do with this. So I started getting in touch with everyone I used to work with. I just sent personal emails. Hey guys, this is what I'm up to. And at first I started offering it for free. Can I help you out with like a little editing project, write a blog post, something like that? So that was how I got my first few clients. They started referring people. And then near the end of the year, I had too much side work to maintain both jobs anymore. So I had 2 jobs for a while, and it was a lot and it was overwhelming. Yeah. But I knew there was an end in sight. And I told my kids, hey kids, mommy's going to be very busy for the next couple of weeks or couple months, but it's for a purpose. It's so that I can get you at the end of the day at 3:00 instead of at 6:00. And, here's some dinner, kids, go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So you kind of like brought them into that process and told them why, what was going on kind of.
Because all kids see is me on my computer. They don't know what I'm doing. For all they know, I'm watching YouTube videos.
Yeah. Like what they do on.
Exactly. Doing stuff they do. But I'm like, I'm working. So I brought them into the process. I showed them my work. And anytime I was like published or mentioned in a book or something like that, I show them like, look, this is what I've been working on. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, are you famous? I'm like, not quite, but.
You can say that.
Yeah, I know. I'm famous in your world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So in April, did you put in like a 2 weeks notice sort of thing? Like, what did that look like?
I did. So actually, when I decided a little over a year ago that I was like, I'm quitting, I'm doing this thing, I'm building my own business. I wrote my resignation letter back in like July of last year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I didn't have the set date in mind yet. I would go in and edit the letter and just like update the date every couple weeks. And just knowing that was there was like, I had this in my back pocket. I knew what I was building. And then when it finally came time to give notice, I had a lot of side work. And I knew that once I could dedicate all my time to growing my business, it would take off.
You'd be fine. And it has.
So it was definitely a part leap of faith, part it's a little bit scary. So I'm a little bit risk averse. I don't like taking chances. I follow the rules. I do what you're supposed to do. So it was a big change, but it's been working out.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So if I heard you right, the very first couple of clients, you got their attention by offering free work, pro bono work. And, there's like this weird conversation around that with a lot of people, like never give your work away for free. Well, but when you're first starting, that's sometimes the quickest way to get somebody's attention. And then you can turn that into paid work. So how did you do that? Like, how did you actually earn your first dollar?
First dollar? Some of the people I did free work for ended up turning into dollars.
Boom.
Because they were like, oh, this is great. I totally need this in my life.
Yeah. Worth it. Okay. Yeah, and then what was the next step? How did you get your next few clients?
It's all been relationships, whether it's relationships I made 10 years ago, which still blows my mind. Part relationships, part just, I like keeping in touch with everyone because I've had a handful of jobs over the years and I've moved states and countries. Just keeping in touch. Social media is a big part of it. I mean, my old coworkers, like we're Facebook friends and we're connected on LinkedIn and just letting everyone know what I'm up to and sharing details. So I didn't necessarily realize it, but a lot of people were following along on my blog or following along with what I was working on. And then out of the blue, they're like, oh, I have this project with my new company. Can you help? I'm like, yes, I can.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's just staying in touch with people and referrals.
Nice. So, anyone that kind of understands how copywriting works, you can very quickly see that copywriting in one industry is a very different ball game than copywriting for another industry and then this industry, and it's all over. So, have you begun to find where you feel most comfortable in like certain industries or with different people? What does that look like for you right now?
Yeah, that's been really interesting because initially I just took on everything because being also in the corporate management consulting world, you do take on everything. Every project, you wear so many different hats. So it's kind of like being an entrepreneur within a business. So I've learned that it's less about the industry and more about the type of people. Okay. So they are really passionate about something. Most often they're creatives, but they might not necessarily want to highlight that or like they think it's like a bad thing. Okay. And once I embrace creativity as being like part of who I am, I used to just stuff it down for years. It started it helped everything grow. So they are oftentimes people who are in similar situations to me. They've been in the corporate world for 15 years. They're an expert in something and are stepping away and doing something slightly different or taking their skills and bringing it into their new position. So I help just get them started. And a lot of times it's confidence too.
Yeah. Giving them the word, like making them feel confident in having those words.
Yeah,
Is that
because
right?
they've never thought about putting their words out there in the way that they have before, even though they are experts at what they do and in
Yeah.
their industry, putting it out there in a different way. And online entrepreneurship often scares people. They're like, oh, I can
Yeah.
do this online. I have like my words on my website are going to be all about me. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
But giving them the words to do so definitely calms them down.
Okay, cool. All right. That's great. All right. So, let's see. I want to know about the work that you're doing right now. What are you working on and where's your focus?
I have a few focuses right now. So I'm doing some client work. I'm helping ghostwrite and edit some books, which is fun.
Ooh,
They're
cool.
they're not definitely nonfiction.
Yeah.
I've tried to play in the fiction world, not for me. I
Okay.
like real life, reality, real stories, stuff like that. So some of that work, doing some website writing, like either from scratch, like I need a website, I need some
Mm-hmm.
words for that. So we get started right from the beginning, and then ghost blogging, ghost editing, so that ongoing, people know their blog is important, but they don't have time to do it or
Right.
grow it. So
Right.
like let's come up with some topics. My other focus is with my clients. I don't just take their projects and sit down and go in a hole and do some writing.
Mm-hmm.
They consider me as their thought partner too. So we
Mm.
bounce ideas off of each other. Because I have a variety of experience in a bunch of different industries, I can advise them and put our thoughts together on other different projects and stuff like that. So brainstorming is always fun. They think they have nothing to talk about. I'm like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
here's 100 things you can talk about. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So that client work's a focus, and also some personal projects. I'm working on a book, my second book, which is fun and exciting. So this is part of National Novel Writing Month, which is
Yeah.
a challenge of writing 50,000 words in a month. So that breaks down to just over 1,600 words a day. And right now I'm on day 10 and plugging along.
Wait, so are you writing a novel? So fiction?
Nonfiction.
It's nonfiction. Okay.
Yeah, so it's called National Novel Writing Month, but you can write nonfiction. So nonfiction
Okay.
is definitely my
Wow.
jam.
I mean, I knew that you were doing that, but it's just like, think about, because you just said all the other stuff you're doing, like the client work, and it's all writing. And then you're taking on this massive undertaking of how many words in a month? 50,000?
50,000.
Yeah, 50,000 words. I mean, that's a lot of words, Jacq. Like that is a lot. That's amazing. How do you feel like 10 days in, what's been the trajectory or the kind of like the path you've been on so far?
It's about creating a habit. So I've gotten in the habit, like I have a pretty consistent morning routine, and I do that writing before I turn on my phone, before I look at email, before I do anything. And it actually, when you break it down, it doesn't take that long. It takes me less than an hour. So less than an hour a day. And then in a month you have a book. I mean, it's not going to be a well-written, edited book yet. It's a big mess, which I'm going to have to clean up later. But if you do it in small chunks, it's not overwhelming and it's not that much work. So 1,600 words in a day, that's just like that one little book project I'm working on. But I'm also doing all this other writing for clients too. And it's amazing how much you can produce if you just like develop these certain habits and figure out what time of the day you do your best work and all those components. So it's not so big and scary.
Yeah. So what inspires you, your writing and you as a person? What gets you going?
There's a lot of things. Surprisingly, my kids inspire me. I don't know if it's like a cliche answer, but there's so many lessons in just their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
That I have to teach them, but they're actually teaching me. So kids are definitely a big one.
Yeah.
Quiet time, changing my scenery up, traveling, like nowhere super far or expensive or extensive, but even if it's just a couple towns over, going to a different coffee shop.
Yeah.
And having really good one-on-one conversations. Like let's not talk about the weather for an hour. Let's get in and talk about something interesting and important.
Yeah. As a solopreneur, how have you, and you kind of said like day 3 of being a solopreneur, you're like, I should probably get myself out of the house. What have you discovered in the last 7 months to work for you to involve maybe a little bit more social time,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it inspires you and not, overwhelms you? So what have you found?
I found definitely getting out a little bit. I mean, not even if I'm not necessarily out talking to people, although I am trying to talk to people more.
Yeah.
That's always fun. I mean, starting a conversation with the people at Starbucks is an easy way to just start doing that. And I'm also getting into working on some more in-person stuff, like writing workshops in person,
Okay.
and if you've ever been, have you heard of the like paint night concept where you go
Yeah.
like drink wine? That's how I started painting again, was I went to those paint nights. I started doing them for writing. So a lot of people, I'm trying to bring back like the idea of a pen pal and writing cards and notes.
Oh.
So it's fun. We drink wine, we have a bunch of stationery and just encouraging people to write, and some people are like, I don't know what to say. So we start out like very easy, like, okay, let's write a thank you note. Who's someone you need to thank for something? Maybe it's, a relative for a gift or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bringing this part bringing people together, part putting pen to paper. And a lot of people are like, I don't remember the last time I wrote something down with a pen. I'm like, well, let's do that some more, because it's good. It's like free therapy.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, like, that's an emotional expression. You can like that. You can probably go away from that feeling a sense of relief, just like it is to go to a paint night and be able to pick up a paintbrush, even if that's not something that you regularly do or have ever done. It's just a release of creative energy, and that can just give, especially people that, I mean, bless their hearts, but have to go into a cubicle every day and go into a job that they don't love. What an amazing gift that is to offer someone, just to give them that space to do that. I love that idea.
And it's a snowball effect, because someone on the other end is going to receive that card or letter. They're going to feel good about it. They're probably going to reach back out to them, and then they'll start writing cards and letters and stuff too. So
yes,
we're keeping the mail people busy.
Hey, that's amazing. Me too, but with Amazon Prime.
That's that too.
Okay, so let's talk about, we're coming up here at the end of the year. What is next for you? You're still in the first year of business, but have you begun to think about next year and what maybe some dreams you want to kind of like check off the list?
Yeah, I thought the first few months would be kind of slow going, figuring stuff out, but it took off pretty quickly. I got some great projects. I have some great clients, like loving working with them. So I want to work with a business coach, get specific on like who I can help, and just up leveling, growing my business. So I think 2018 is going to be a year of big growth, and another book. So once I'm done writing it this month, I want to finish editing it and getting it out in the next year. And more in-person stuff, like getting more acquainted with my community and hosting these writing workshops and just getting out and going to events and talking to people.
Now, what area are you in? I have no idea. I've known you for so long and I have no idea.
I'm just like 30 minutes south of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And I've been in this area for about 3 years. Okay. I'm originally from outside of Toronto though, so I'm moved around a lot. So, but okay, cool. Since we've been here for a while, we have some roots down.
Feels like home a little bit
more.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So, I mean, you're still in the beginning stages, but if growth, you're on the trajectory to continue growing. If you had to guess, what kind of professional do you think will be your first to hire for your, like, into your business? What are you thinking?
Definitely someone who can look at numbers and stats.
Yeah.
The SEO stuff, that stuff just bores me.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about website visits and stats. So social media, something like that. Someone that
Analytics.
can, tell me what to do, like what's working, so I can do a little bit more of that, or like dig a little deeper into certain things. That'll probably be the first one, and probably someone to look after financing too.
Yeah, all that number stuff. All the number stuff. Yep, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone wanted to learn more about what we're talking about, this copywriting and forming your words for your brand and your business, do you have any resources that you would turn them to? A book or a podcast, anything that really comes top of mind that you would reference?
It's hard to say. I don't know if I have a copywriting resource. A lot of my resources are not necessarily writers, but there are other creatives. Like,
oh, perfect. Okay.
The Unpodcast is one I enjoy. They're all about like building relationships and not just, selling all the time on social media and being disingenuous and stuff like that. Todd Henry is another good resource. I think bridges the gap between creatives and the business world and has different audiences that way. So listening to him and other podcasts like that, definitely helpful. Tim Ferriss's stuff too.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense, that especially in the phase of business you're in right now, that bridging between the left brain and the right brain, kind of like that transition between corporate and creative business owner. It's like you're right there. And that's probably where your value is probably going to be for a pretty long time. Like, it seems like that might be where you're going to be comfortable for a while. So finding other resources that kind of have that same vibe and are like showing you how they kind of mold and like do a nice group hug together. That's smart. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I want to say I don't necessarily like follow other writers.
Yeah.
Because I like to, just focus on my own thing. I don't want to worry too much about what other people are doing.
Right. Yeah.
We're also very different, and
totally.
Everyone's great, but I do, if I do come across them, I love just like, hey, let's have a quick chat. I want to hear what you're all about, because often they're great at something that I'm not, so I can send people their way.
I love writers. If you're like, I just love people that write. Isn't it funny how like people that you can kind of just tell if someone writes or not? I don't know. It's been something that's been on top of my mind lately. And you can just kind of tell. And I really like writers. I mean, I like all kinds of people, but like, I really like talking to writers. There's just like a depth of thought that happens. Like, just like you said, like, I don't want to talk about the weather. Like, can we talk about something like, let's get in there. And let's get in there. I love those conversations. Okay. One last question we have to end with. Looking back in April, you were about to leave your corporate job and start this thing. Girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook. I'm sure you're still that girl today. We all are. But, really trying to figure this out. What would you say to her?
I'd probably say a few things. First, I'd say get off the couch and go do something.
Yeah.
So before I started a writing business, back in 2012 was when I first started blogging. I started a vegan food blog. I'm not vegan anymore. So what I realized though, until I did that and actually started something, I got out there, like I spent so much time trying to figure it out, what I wanted to do, like going through worksheets and reading all the blogs and doing all the online courses. I had no idea what to do, but until you start actually doing something and taking an action. So because I took that action, started the food blog, I started doing cooking classes, and I realized, oh, that's not quite it. But if I didn't go out and try it, I wouldn't know.
Right.
And then as I work with more and more people, and then back to the working for free part, that also gave me some insight into the people that I didn't work well with or who weren't going to be a good fit. And that was great. I mean, it was good on all sides. So get off the couch, do something.
Yeah, go do it.
Awesome. And maybe don't worry about how much coffee or wine you're drinking.
Oh yeah. Don't even worry about that. Okay. Yeah. Just let that go. Yeah. I like that too. All right. Before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
Yeah. You can find me at Jacqueline Fisch online.
Yep.
And jacquelinefisch.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook I quit Twitter recently. I found it kind of angry over there. So
yeah, it has been a little angry over there lately.
Instagram is nice. You get to look at nice pictures and
it
stuff like that.
An energy
it feels
thing.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. So we'll link all to all of that stuff. So you heard her, girls. Go check her out. Send her some love, and then hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Jacq over the next few days. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketinginYogaPants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketinginYogaPants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing in Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.